This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. Since the Republican debate was last night, GOP debate part duh, I figured there's no better person to consult with what they thought happened, the chaos that ensued. No more better person than Cliff Schecter, the man who definitely has not written a great book about John McCain, a man who definitely did not do ads for Joe Biden in 2020, a man who definitely has not written for the Daily Beast and a number of different publications. Cliff Schecter, you have done nothing in your life, but I want to have you here anyway. Thanks for joining me.
Well, clearly I've done nothing about making the sound good in this office either.
It's like you're hiding out in a Taliban cave or something.
That's what if you see me starting to go across like the bars, and do the workout, you'll know that I'm not who I claim to be. In any case, apologies for a mic that's not perfectly working, but thank you for thinking of me when you think of chaos. That is much appreciated. Well,
first, there's really not much to get to. There's not a lot of analysis to be made because it was just an evening of chaos. But before I do, the burning question I think on everybody's minds is, what's going on with Vivek Ramaswamy's hair? He's like I don't know if it's his hair or he's just a phrenologist's wet dream, and that shape of that, the shape of that dome. What's going on?
With the phrenology, it's a long lost study we clearly need to bring back.
Yeah,
let's start with that. I'm going to laugh a long time that you used that. Well done. Yeah, he seems to think that the Beavis look is back in. He had quite a pompadour going on. And look, this is coming from somebody who's got a little bit of puffy hair myself. And I'm offended by the level of the pompadour that he was wearing. A lot of news for him among them. It's not the swing era again. It's not the 1950s. And he's certainly not Elvis. I hate to ruin all of that for him. He's more like an owned property of Peter Thiel, like J.D. Vance,
yes,
that are both on like yo-yos that Peter Thiel just sort of throws out when he wants J.D. Vance to do something. He rolls that one out. And then Vivek Ramaswamy on the other hand. So
I don't understand the appeal for Republicans of this guy. I mean, everything about him is put on. It's a manufactured identity. He's even that voice that if this doesn't work out for him, he will be a great morning radio traffic and weather together all the answer, everybody. I'm Vivek Ramaswamy. It's just too much, man. Too much.
But that was his original gig. Like, he was trying to do a podcast because he wanted to be famous. I just heard this whole story about him. And so he wanted to do a podcast. I think it was with the Heritage Foundation. And they spent like tens of thousands of dollars putting this piece of garbage together and could not make it work for whatever reason. So he walked away and he's like, what should I do to be famous? Oh, that's right. We're in the 21st century where literally anyone can run for president. Like I could be 12 and run for president. And so, which on some days he looks like he is. I'm pretty sure he does not shave yet. So he decided he would run for president because, he knows after this is all said and done, there's the gravy train of CPAC Hungary, where you get to, schmooze with fascists, and all that stuff where they'll pay him lots of money to show up and just say a couple words and wander away.
Well, let me tell you, Vivek, if you're watching, trust me, starting a podcast isn't going to make you famous because I've had one for about 10 years and I'm still languishing in anonymity.
But his was going to be with the Heritage Foundation, which likes to waste lots of money on making dorks like Ben Shapiro, or like they sort of sit around and say, which incel can we make famous today? And Vivek was the one of the day.
The theme of the night, though, was absolutely chaos. I'm going to play a clip here that is two moments mashed together. I didn't want the audience to think I'm taking it out of context if you didn't watch the debate, that it was just a series of moments of these Republicans talking over one another. One of these moments is from 9:15 p.m., and the other one is from 9:51, just numbers transposed. You wouldn't be able to tell from these chaotic idiots who don't understand how microphones work and communication works. Watch this.
The next question is for Governor DeSantis.
If we want to get things done, here's how we get it done in Washington. We must find a way.
Can we please respect the time?
We can get it done.
Governor cut George said I loaded up our
You wanted a gas tax increase, and then you wanted
Ladies and gentlemen, we do not intend to go ahead like this. In fact, we're about to take a commercial break. We'll have more of the second Republican debate live from the Reagan Presidential Library in just...
Absolute disaster.
I mean, Stuart and Varney missed such a great moment there, right? Wouldn't it be perfectly good to be like, will you just shut the f up? So you just done that in his perfect British accent.
Yeah.
I think we all could have gotten a great kick out of that. I mean, you know, I've overused this comparison, but I often think of when I would take my kids to the playground in recess and they would fight over swings with other kids. And I mean, you know, the Republican Party has become flypaper essentially for the worst among us, right? Yeah. For those who are complete narcissists, sociopaths, antisocial personality disorder. We can go through the DSM, whatever which of those we're up to at this point. And it's all there. George Santos, you know, Debbie Lesko is a former multi-time criminal, you know, and you start going through some of these characters. And so they don't know how to behave. This is, to them, this is how you behave in any forum. If you scream loud enough, it doesn't really matter if you have any substance, and you tell other people to shut up, like, you win. I'm not saying Democratic debates are perfect, but like that was just, I mean, that was a joke.
Yeah.
You know?
The other thing that was the theme of the night, and like, you know, with any debate, you've been prepped, you have your canned statements that you're going to want to get on the record to be used in ads or whatever. But last night, when there wasn't everyone talking over one another and the moderators having lost total control, it was a series of trying to get their little one-liners in there. Right. And some of them really, I mean, by any objective look at it, just failed. Here's Chris Christie doing it by trying to malign Joe Biden for being close to the teachers union, but doing it in a really gross way, talking about Joe Biden sleeping with Dr. Jill Biden. It's gross.
Ew.
Are absolutely strangling. They are taking the worst of their members and defending them rather than advocating for our kids. And when you have the President of the United States sleeping with a member of the teachers union, there is no chance that you could take the stranglehold away from the teachers union every day. They have.
I mean, what is there to say?
It's repulsive, and it reminds people of who Chris Christie is, right? I mean, he goes after Donald Trump, says he's unfit, but it just reminds you of that gene, the Ted Cruz gene, you know, the Rudy Giuliani gene, you know, the faux tough guy in the Republican Party who says things like that, who tries to bully people and just says things in the most crude. I mean, he could have very easily said, how are we going to fix this? You know, the teachers unions are strangling people, you know, because Joe Biden's married to a member of.
Right.
He could have just as easily have said it that way, but he had to be crude because he knows he's dealing with a bunch of knuckle-dragging mouth breathers in the audience. And even they didn't laugh at that. You know, they didn't find it amusing. I think even they were taken aback. And so if you've forgotten about his escapades with the George Washington Bridge or shutting down the parks in New Jersey, that famous meme of him sitting with, you know, the gut hanging over in that chair. Like, if you've forgotten that, Chris Christie, this should be a good reminder that he's a despicable character.
Yeah. It wasn't the shocking thing about this was that Mike Pence even tried to piggyback on this in this moment where it's like a desperate, like, hey, everybody, I fuck too. It was very weird. And if you want, I'm going to play this clip and I want the audience to really listen to what Mike Pence is saying, but watch Chris Christie, who's just befuddled by the whole comment. Watch this.
Because by way of full disclosure, Chris, you mentioned the president's situation. My wife isn't a member of the teachers union, but I got to admit I've been sleeping with a teacher for 38 years. And so full disclosure.
Cool.
I mean, like, first of all, take a look at him and he calls his wife mother.
Yeah.
Okay. He got more action from that fly that landed on his head than he and his wife are getting, which is a gross thing to even think about. But I just wanted him to see next, be like, Chris, no, full disclosure, I take prostitutes into the back alley too sometimes. I mean, you know, like just some ludicrous statement like that, because I guess that makes you cool if you have sex or something.
Yeah,
I mean, again, like these.
It was very weird when to watch you could see the gerbil running on the track in his brain and him trying to formulate how he was going to say it, but still maintain that pious, weird image that he has. It just was all just a moment for him to get on camera. Very weird.
This maladjusted group of losers. I mean, who would think these kinds of things are funny and think they're witty. And I mean, again, it's a combination of who they are, but who they're speaking to, because they're children who are speaking to children. And a child, a 12-year-old might think that was going to go over well and be funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, you were vice president of the United States, for fuck's sake. What is wrong with you?
Well, there was one moment. I'm going to play one last clip here, and that is another one of Chris Christie. He's looking into the camera and calling out Donald Trump directly, and then in a moment that is supposed to be like the apex, like a crescendo, it just falls flat like a goof. Watch this.
In Washington, D.C. also. And Donald Trump should be here to answer for that, but he's not. And I want to look at that camera right now and tell you, Donald, I know you're watching. You can't help yourself. I know you're watching, okay? And you're not here tonight, not because of polls and not because of your indictments. You're not here tonight because you're afraid of being on the stage and defending your record. You're ducking these things. And let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep doing that, no one up here is going to call you Donald Trump anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
All right. I want to ask
Wow.
And the thing is, he began well.
Yeah.
Because that was him being authentic. But the minute he is not funny, except for when he's doing something obnoxious and doesn't really, and doesn't really realize it and it's funny. But if he's purposely trying to be funny, that's not who he is. So the delivery earlier on, about him ducking debates and about the fact that you can't defend your record was actually really good stuff. But he felt like he had to finish it off with a line. And I mean, that was just cringe. That's Absolutely. About the time I turned it off. I only watched it for about 15 minutes. And I'll tell you, beyond the actual debate, watching Fox News, it's like somebody holding a tabloid up into your eyes are pinned open, like in a Clockwork Orange, and someone's holding up a big pile of stupid in front of you. And you just I can't watch this anymore. I started feeling uncomfortable. But I mean, Chris Christie is just he had a good line there and he ruined it because he thought he had to try to come up with something clever. And he's not a clever comedian. He's not funny.
Well, it's also, it goes to show of preparation. I mean, that was obviously a prepared line that they just, you had a moment. You could have had a moment, but you blew it. Just like was the theme of the evening for everybody else as well. I mean, we're only covering a few here, but it was a nightmare. What wasn't a nightmare was the fact that you joined me today. That was me very artfully wrapping the segment, Cliff.
Oh, wow. You did very well there. I didn't even know you were getting rid of me.
You'd think I'd be better at this, having done thousands and thousands of videos on YouTube, but no, I am just this terrible. So thank you for joining me. Maybe this should be a regular thing for debates.
We could do it.
Next time you're in DC, maybe we'll do a live stream where we cover one of these things.
If we look ahead of time, I can, I come back enough, we can make it happen.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And then we can just have a great just like a barn burning conversation about how we sleep with our wives. We both can spike our hair up about 8 feet, to look really cool.
Tell the people where they can find you on the YouTube and the social media.
The people, you can find me at C Schecter, and that is on YouTube. Please come by and subscribe. And you can find me on the Twitter, which I hate, but we still have to use, at Cliff Schecter. So do those things, and I will keep, even if I have a microphone that's not working great, convince Jesse to continue to have me on, and you'll find me here too.
Fantastic. I appreciate everybody out there. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.